Theodore's examples of leadership include the U.S. intervention in the Russo-Japanese War. The Japanese and the Russians were fighting against each other in an attempt to gain more land. They were attacking into China. They felt that China had so much land and a lot of it was undeveloped. Yet Japan was so small with so many people. Russia itself needed a Trans-Siberian Railroad in order to gain goods from the continent over to ports that would not freeze over during the hard Russian winters. The United States intervened. Theodore Roosevelt would not allow the Japanese nor the Russians to take the Sakhalin Islands. The U.S. demanded that both Russia and Japan must pull out of China. That the United States intervened in this manner. It caused a problem, though, later on for the U.S. because the Japanese really felt that in their asking the United States to intervene in this war, that the United States would take up the Japanese side and give more opportunity for the Japanese than they would for the Russians. That's not what Theodore Roosevelt did. He tried to make it more equal on behalf of both sides, and in particular coming out of the Chinese land. That's one example. Another example of Theodore Roosevelt's leadership would include the busting of trusts. Theodore Roosevelt gets called the great trust buster. He broke up trusts or monopolies that he felt were not in the advantage of the American people. In particular, a trust being a monopoly means that a company cannot do as well as or better than others. In breaking up trust, this kept companies like J.P. Morgan in the banking industry, Rockefeller, Carnegie, for pushing out smaller companies that would be mom and pop shops that would not allow them to keep going in their businesses. The United States viewed capitalism and entrepreneurship as a great boon in the United States. So this was another way in which Theodore Roosevelt helped to develop leadership by setting forth examples of what should be done to help the American people. A third example of Theodore Roosevelt in dealing in the area of leadership also included conservation. He was a big naturalist. He would run through the forest counting different birds and encouraged his kids and anybody else that was with him in these runs through the woods, trying to tell how many different species of birds that they could see. Roosevelt understood that if all the land is used for things like logging, coal mining, and other things that mankind uses and really takes advantage of, you won't have these forests in the future for others to understand how nature exists and the importance of natural beauty. Theodore Roosevelt opened up segments of land for national parks. He's the first president to ever really do this. Without his working on this, we would not have different parks like Yosemite National Park and many others that have been set aside not to be used for all their natural resources, but to be maintained for generations to come so that everybody can have an opportunity to enjoy nature and understand what life is like outside of the cities.